First off, we start with the Pujo booth because here at Pujo, they released the all-new Pujo 2008 subcompact SUV. Despite this being a subcompact SUV and only costing just over 1.5 million pesos, it does get the same design language as the rest of the Pujo lineup. And actually coming here to MIAS, I did bring in a lend-out unit, the Pujo 3008. So if the new 2008 car does drive like the 3008 and the 5008, I'm sure that this car will be an amazing vehicle. Also, Pujo also released the all-new Pujo Traveler Premium Van, and it's just over there by the side. So that is also a car that you will see in Philippine roads in the near future. We are currently here at the Geely Pavilion. They have some special cars over here. So first off, this is the new Coolray Gt. It's a special model of the Coolray exclusively from Geely Fairview for 1.348 million pesos, including a 90,000 peso discount. So what exactly is different from this car? Well, this is based on the Coolray Premium and it has a couple of mods. You do get a carbon fiber trim down below. The engine gets a K&N high flow air filter, and you can even get an optional race chip, bringing the power of this car from 177 horsepower all the way up to around 200 horsepower. You get 19-inch rims on this one, all blacked out as well, and really big and red painted calipers and slotted rotors. You also get a step board on this one. Then when you go over to the back, you get a carbon diffuser, and you also get a drift exhaust quad exhaust system.
Now, crossovers are all the rage these days, but there's still room for a sedan. Now, of course, the Geely Megane has been around for a few weeks already, but that doesn't stop Geely from coming up with a few accessories and mods for this sedan. So this is based on the Comfort model, and as you can see, it's got a chin here at the front, massive 20-inch alloy wheels, and a kicker sound system to go along with it. Now again, this is based on the Comfort model, so it's the lower end of the spectrum, but what you get are a lot more accessories, and this one starts at 998,000 pesos.
In this beautiful yellow paint, very similar to a BMW M3 or M4, is the all-new Geely Coolray, or the facelifted model rather. And they now call this SE, or the Special Edition. Get a slightly different grille on this one. You also get these two nice body paints on it, body colored paint right there. And your chin down below, this faux looking carbon thing, is also slightly different. You may notice this area right here, which looks like a sensor for adaptive cruise control, but unfortunately, you still do not get adaptive cruise control for this one. Towards the back, you get a redesigned wing up top, and even this part right here, the faux diffuser, also is slightly different from before.
Of course, MIAS isn't all about new cars. You also get to see some of our childhood heroes, and one of them is here right beside me. This is an 80 series Land Cruiser, and I haven't seen one this shiny in such a long time. Of course, it's got that classic lines and all that, and Land Cruisers from this generation onwards have been rather evolutionary, and this is the model that made the Land Cruiser the premium model it is today, and it is just so great to see one of these in the show.
So Anton took a look at the LC80, but there is another even older version of the Land Cruiser, the J40 series, and this is restored by DRT Auto Restoration. Something very interesting about this particular car right here is that if you go on over to the back, what you'll find here is that they took another old Land Cruiser, another J40, chopped in about half, and turned it into a trailer. How amazing is that?
The Lancer box type is practically ingrained in Philippine motoring history and local pop culture. But this box type here is no ordinary box type. If the Civic SIR ruled the roost in the 90s, what you're looking at is the 80s equivalent, the Lancer GSR. Now this had a bigger engine and more performance out of it. One thing you should know about this, and this came out in the early 80s, okay? It already had rear disc brakes, so that's a fascinating thing about this car, and it's just so good to see a clean box type again. These side mirrors are a big deal because these are Murakami side mirrors. You have no idea how hard these are to find today. I'm probably starting to show my age a little bit here, but I'm kind of gravitating toward crossovers like this, the 2022 Subaru Forester. Now, the reason why it is attractive is because it has what's practically level 2 autonomous driving, so it's one of the safest ones out there. So it's got automatic emergency braking and whatnot, and at the same time, when you're backing up, it even has rear emergency stop. So you know, it's one of the safest ones out there. And of course, it's got these new headlight and that new grille to freshen it up a little bit. However, the engine is still a carryover unit, so it's still the 2-liter boxer engine from before.
This is the all-new Subaru Brz, now with a 2.4-liter boxer engine and eyesight as standard. You can get this in a CVT or a 6-speed manual transmission, which can do the 0 to 100 sprint in 6.8 and 6.3 seconds respectively. So since this is all new, even the interior is now way better than before, and I'm extremely excited as well to try out this car in the future.
You can call it irony or a cruel joke, but of course, I'm here beside one of the biggest cars to be shown here at MIAS. This is the all-new Chevrolet Tahoe. Now, the new Tahoe rides on an all-new platform and all that, but still has a good old V8 under the hood. Now, Chevy has promised that at some point they will bring in the diesel version, but for now, we're not having it yet. But of course, it would be nice to have that soon, but since they discontinued the Expedition, this is the only game in town.
And now we are here at the Chery Pavilion, where Chery has displayed a couple of cars, the Tigo 5X Pro, the Tigo 7 Pro, and also their two new vehicles, the Tigo 8 Pro, their all-new 3-row SUV, as well as a really cool car of the future, the Tigo 8 Pro plug-in hybrid electric vehicle. I got to try out the Nissan Patrol Royale before, but I've been waiting for this car for a very long time, and I'm so happy to see it in the flesh. This is the refreshed Nissan Patrol, now with an even more improved exterior, interior, and even comes with Nissan's Intelligent Mobility Suite. We also got to try out the Nissan Navara Pro 4X before in this exact same color, in this really bright red. But for those who don't really need the 4x4 capabilities of that car but want the styling of the Pro 4X, well, Nissan has got you covered. They now released their Nissan Navara 4x2 Calibre X, which is set to do all that if you really don't need that 4x4 powertrain.
Crossovers are all the rage these days, and MG is very much aware of that. So this year, they showed off two crossovers. So first is the HS, that's the newest one they have to offer, and they're also reminding everyone that they turbocharged the ZS subcompact crossover. Both have well over 160 horsepower and all that. So for those looking for a performance crossover of sorts, well, you might have to consider an MG soon. JEC Motor used this year's Manila International Auto Show to preview two models you can expect soon in the Philippines. What we have here is the Mpow, and it's marketed as a sports sedan. It's got a 1.5-liter turbo and about 177 horsepower. But if you're more into SUVs and stuff like that, there's the GS8 right behind it. There are no final prices so far, but JEC says you can expect these cars to come in sometime this year or next year.
Some cars worth noting here at the Shanghai booth is the all-new CS35 Plus. Now with a 1.4-liter turbocharged engine and 160 horsepower, this one might make a great contender in the subcompact crossover SUV segment. And another car that they have here today with us is the all-new Ayato EV460 electric vehicle. Now, why is it called the EV460? It's because that car can actually do 460 kilometers in a single charge. That really does mean that we are going to have a very electrifying future in terms of EV cars here in the Philippines.
You could argue that Volvo has always been for the thinking man or woman who wants to show their individualistic sides, and at the same time, those who think about safety and practicality. Well, may I present to you this, the Xc90. And Volvo has come here to MIAS to show off their hybrid and plug-in hybrid range. Now, this Xc90 is a hybrid, and it's one of the most practical cars you can buy today. But if you want something a little more plush and more decadent, let's head on over to Kyle with something a lot longer.
Now this one right here is the Volvo S90, but it's not just any regular S90, this is the long wheelbase S90L. And not just that, this is also called the Inscription Boost Hybrid, so not only do you have a rather efficient, long, comfortable sedan, but this car can also do the sprint from 0 to 100 kilometers per hour in only 6.2 seconds.
But let's be honest here, more people demand ground clearance, and at the same time, for a price range like this, they also want luxury. So best of both worlds, you get one of these. Volvo Xc90. Now the Xc90 has been around for quite some time already, but this is also the hybrid version. So not only do you get the performance, you also get good fuel economy. And at the same time, you get the plushness from the S90 sedan.
And that is a wrap of the 2022 Manila International Auto Show. This has been an amazing show, and we do hope to see you again in next year's show. Once again, this is Kyle Liong, and this is
Anton Andres, guesting for the second time.
So thank you for watching, everyone, and we will catch you very soon once again in our next video.